Hello everybody, myself Vishal Nadapra, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Dr. Subhash Technical Campus, Junagadh, welcomes you in a lecture series of fluid mechanics, in which we have been seeing chapter fluid static. In the previous session, we have seen the definition of the fluid static and application where this fundamental can be used. Then we have seen the pressure uh, as a one of the most important property of the fluid, and the definition of pressure is it is the force applied per unit area. Then we have derived unit of Newton per meter square, which is also called as a Pascal, and we have seen few more units about the pressure, which is torr, say 1 mm of Hg per bar. This is a little bit larger unit, which is equal to 10 raised to 5 Pascal. Then mm of water column, then of oil column, and so on. After that, we have seen the two different reference pressure, which is used to measure the pressure in practical for practical purpose, which is our one of these two is absolute reference line, and another is the atmospheric pressure, and both are considered as a reference to measure the pressure of any substance or any system. If you measure the pressure with reference to the absolute zero line, then the pressure is called as a absolute pressure. And if you measure pressure with reference to atmospheric pressure line, then it is called gauge pressure. If the pressure is larger than the atmospheric pressure, then it is called as a simply gauge pressure or positive gauge pressure. And if the pressure is less than atmospheric pressure, and in that case, it is called as a negative gauge pressure or vacuum pressure. So these was the two references. And now we have seen. Okay, sorry. Yesterday we forgot about to discuss about the one topic, which is the molecular definition of pressure, which is mostly used for gaseous form of the substance. Let's see what it says. Say another definition of pressure, which is based on molecular substance. So let's see what it says. Molecular definition. Uh, let's consider this is the one vessel, and it is closed vessel in this gaseous form, or let's say air is filled. So we know about the gaseous substance and the behavior of the gaseous substance, that it have molecules, molecular size very small in comparison to the distance between these molecules, and all the molecular are always in motion, say with some velocity in random direction and in a random amount that depends on external force. So, due to this behavior of these molecules, it possesses some momentum, which is the mass times the velocity, and due to this, it contains some kinetic energy, which is the half of mass times square of the velocity. So, due to this velocity, when it collides with, due to this kinetic energy, when it collides with any particle or any substance, it will transfer some molecular to that substance or that molecular. So this molecule, let's consider this molecular collide with each other, as well as this molecule come into contact with this wall, and it when it collide with this, it will transfer some momentum to this wall. This you can say, this we can see here with the diagram. Say this is the molecular A, and it has some velocity, say kinetic velocity is v1, and according to this v1, it has some kinetic energy, one half into mass into v1 square. When it strike to this wall, this is, let's consider this is an wall of the container in which the gas is filled. So when it strike on this wall, it will transfer some momentum, or we can say some energy, to this wall, and rebounds from this surface with a little bit less energy, which is must be transferred to this wall. So in that case, both the velocity we have taken different, say v1 and v2, so it has some different velocity than the v1. So this amount of force that applied on this wall, it is nothing but the force applied by a single molecule on the wall. But here you can say in the system there are number of molecules which is roaming, we can say, inside the container, and there are number of molecules which strike on the wall at a same time. So if you sum up all the forces given by these all molecules, then it is the total force on this wall divided by the area will give you the total pressure on this wall. So by this way, we can define the pressure by the molecular definition. So this is the molecular definition. The sum of the forces of all the molecules striking the wall divided by the area of the wall is defined as the pressure. It is ultimately fundamentally same. It is the force divided by area. But here, when you consider the gaseous form or when you consider the molecular theory, then we have to consider the summation of all forces. So this is the molecular definition of pressure. And here you again we can say it is a velocity is a vector quantity, so it have a force in this direction, but pressure is always x into perpendicular direction to this wall. So again we have to consider there are two forces. One is the parallel to the surface, another is the perpendicular to the first surface. So perpendicular force or perpendicular component of the force is responsible to generate pressure, or we can say we can measure the pressure which is the summation of this force or this component of force. And so by this way, the pressure of the gas in that measure of the average linear momentum of the moving molecules of a gas, whereas this horizontal component of force is responsible to generate viscosity, or we can say viscosity we can measure by calculation of this force. So by this way, the pressure acts perpendicular to the wall, and the tangential component, say this component or shear component of the force, is related to the viscosity of the gas. So this is the definition of pressure according to the pressure with the molecular consideration. Now let's move on the next topic, which is hydrostatic law, or it is also called as a let's study the pressure variation in the fluid in vertical direction. So for that, let's consider one before going on this, let's understand the statement. The rate of increase of pressure in the vertical downward direction must be equal to the specific weight. Specific weight in vertical downward direction. That two words must be important of the fluid at that point. So it's what it says. It discuss something about the change in pressure, or here it is increase in pressure in vertical direction, and it must be equal to the specific weight of that fluid. Now let's try to prove it. For that, let's consider one system of fluid. And fluid, this is the bottom surface, and this is the top surface, and it is the free surface of the liquid. And let's consider one very small volume, small elemental volume of this fluid system named LMTS. LMTS is the very small volume in which with dimension delta Z, it is the vertical height, and let's consider the LM surface area is delta A. Delta Y delta A because it is LM into 1, because we have considered the thickness perpendicular this slide is unity. So let's consider the area on this side LM or ST, because this is the symmetrical in horizontal as well as vertical. So it is the delta A area here. So area of the ST is also delta A. Now let's consider about the forces acting on this volume. So first force is the pressure, and as per the Pascal's law, pressure will act in all direction, and the magnitude is also same. So here for the on this elemental area, here the intensity of pressure is P. Here also the intensity of pressure is P from the left side. Here is also intensity of pressure is P from the right side. And from the bottom side, here we are considering the pressure variation in vertical direction only. So we have to consider the delta P or the variation of pressure with respect to Z. Z is the direction in vertical direction. So before going on that, let's understand the meaning of del P. So here del P by del Z, it is nothing but the rate of change of this is Z, rate of change of pressure with respect to Z direction. Now again, the meaning of delta is that the P is vary with respect to Z only, and variation of in any other direction is constant. If we consider the three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate, then variation of P in the x direction and y direction are 0. So P is constant in x and y direction, and it is varying only in z direction. So here the intensity of pressure is P. Here also intensity of pressure is P, and according to this intensity of pressure P, the area of LS and MT is already same. So pressure into area, pressure into area. So the force on the left hand side direction and force on the right hand side wall both are equal, and so nullify each other. So consider only the two pressure forces on the top surface and pressure forces on the bottom surface. Okay. So we are here, del P by del Z is the rate of change of pressure in vertical direction with respect to Z direction. So this is the rate of change, but we require the rate of change or change of pressure between these two surfaces, say surface LM and surface ST. And this to have a difference, height or elevation difference is delta Z. So the pressure difference between LM and ST must be a rate multiplied by the distance, which is nothing but the delta Z. So this is the difference of pressure between top surface and bottom surface. But P is in the top surface, intensity of pressure is P. So we have to consider the intensity of pressure at the bottom surface is P plus del P by del Z into delta Z, which is written over here. Why it is plus? Because it is always not necessary, because we didn't have proved yet that pressure will increase in downward direction. So according to the del P by del Z, the pressure at the bottom will increase or will decrease. Yet we have not come into on any conclusion that it will increase or decrease. Those statement will say, but we are going to prove it may be wrong. So we have to consider both the possibilities. It may increase or it may decrease. This will depend on this del P by del Z. If del P by del Z is positive, then pressure will higher on the bottom surface than the top surface. And if the del P by del Z is negative, then the pressure on the bottom surface is less than the top surface. So at the end, we will prove it. What will happen? It will increase or decrease. So let's move on the force consideration. One force is the pressure force on the top surface, another is the pressure force on the bottom surface, and the pressure force is the P into area. Say intensity of pressure multiplied by area. So this is another force, and another force which is always present, which is nothing but the weight force or the gravitational force, we can say, which is always present for any particular substance which contains some mass. So this is the W, and for calculation of W, we can use the second definition of the fluid mechanics. Always I can say, which is the specific weight, which is equal to W by V. W divided by V equal to rho into G. So this is the weight, this is the volume, and this is the rho G. That is the according to derivation. So if you want to calculate the weight, you can multiply rho G times volume. Then you can calculate the weight. So this definition we will use here. Now another consideration, say downward direction force or downward direction we will consider here as a positive. So downward force P into delta A, it is positive here because it is in downward direction. Another force which is in upward direction, so it is negative here. P plus del P by del Z into delta Z into dA, the intensity of pressure on the bottom side multiplied by area, plus W, say rho G. Rho G is the W written here. It is a specific weight times the volume. So specific weight into volume. Volume of this elemental area is nothing but the height into cross-section area. So cross-section area is delta A multiplied by height. So we can, by this way, we can make equation by considering the elemental volume is in equilibrium state. Okay. Now just simplify this equation. What we get here. So just open the bracket. We can cancel out P into delta A and this P with this delta A multiply by. Then we got another term which is minus del P by del Z into dA plus W times del A by del Z. But here we get another two parameter del A into del Z. Here also del A into del Z. We can cancel out and put on the send to the right hand side. It will nullify with the 0. So remaining terms is del P by del Z equal to W only. And W, it is the small w, it is the specific weight, nothing else. And it is equal to rho G. So we get the equation del P by del Z equal to rho G. So this is the proof. And here, yes, we have considered, we were thinking about the del P by del Z or variation of pressure, whether it may be positive or negative. Here we can say del P by del Z, say rate of change of pressure with respect to Z direction is positive here. So it indicates that del P by del Z is positive and the pressure on the bottom surface is higher than the pressure, or sorry, intensity of pressure on the top surface, and so the pressure force is higher at the bottom surface in comparison to this top surface. So it is proved here, say hydrostatic law, that the rate of change, rate of increase of pressure in the vertical downward direction must be equal to the specific weight of the fluid at that point. So this is the pressure. Now practical application of this equation is like this. By integrating this equation on both the side, we get equation P equal to rho G Z. Let me erase something. Okay, we get the equation P equal to rho G Z. But in practical application, this equation is mostly used as a P equal to rho G into H. Instead of Z, H is widely used in practical purpose because we generally H is considered as a height. So in this equation, the unit of P, say intensity of pressure is in Newton per meter square, rho is the density or mass density kg per meter cube, G is the gravitational acceleration, and H in terms of meter. So what we have seen in a previous lecture about different unit of pressure, in which we have seen one unit said torr or mm of hg. So this unit is nothing but the unit of this height h. So we can indicate the pressure in terms of height also by using this equation. Say in this equation, if you put this rho ng here, you will get h equal to P by rho g. So by this way, you can indicate pressure in terms of height. But during derivation or during indication of this, by this method, we must have to taken care about this rho, because H is always used with the term about indication of the fluid. Let's say mm of Hg, mm of water column, mm of air. Sorry, mm of air is not used. Mm of oil of different specific gravities. So in this case, rho is considered of the fluid in which or about which height you are going to measure. So by this way, if we talk about the one unit mm of Hg, then if 1 mm of Hg equal to pressure is equal to multiply by rho into G. So in that case, if you taking the height of the mercury, then you have to take rho as a mercury, say 13500 kg per meter cube. And if you are measuring the height in the water column or the tube, liquid in the tube is as a water, then you have to take rho of water. So this care you have to be taken while converting this pressure or measurement of pressure. Generally, this P equal to rho G, this fundamental or the hydrostatic law is used to measure the pressure by the piezometer or say manometer. In that instrument, this law or hydrostatic law is widely used, or we can say fundamental law is this only for the calculation of this pressure with the help of piezometer or manometer. So this is the hydrostatic law, and it will give us the variation of pressure in vertical downward direction, which is the increase of pressure. So as we go downside, and it acts as a vice versa also. So as the height we go in upward direction, then the pressure intensity of pressure will reduce. So you might have heard about the casualties, because the casualties for the traveler when they go to the high elevated area like Uti, because at that time, as the age increases, or from the mean sea level, you can measure the height, and as you go up, it will be high. So pressure, as you go up, the pressure will decreases, and very low pressure, after some amount of pressure, we cannot survive as breathing, because the pressure inside our body and outside pressure both are unbalanced, and we have some biological casualty and these all things. Okay, so this is the importance of pressure and variation of pressure. Now we will see one paradox called as a hydrostatic paradox. Paradox means it is something that is not be considered as a normal, or by our regular thinking it is something different. So here, as shown in figure, there are three different pot with different volume of water. Here, let's say liquid is as a water with a different volume and different shape. Here, this is completely rectangular with the bottom area A. Here, the side of the area A is same as this rectangular, but it have a different shape. Say bottom shape is completely square, and the top surface is somewhat narrow than this bottom surface, and it is completely a trapezoidal section. But the one thing is common, which is the area. Bottom area for all these three port are same, and another thing is also common, which is nothing but the height of the liquid. Height of the liquid or free surface from the bottom is h, and it is equal in all the three uh, vessels. Okay, now what is the paradox here? Paradox is, let's consider what is the paradox. Here you can say h is the same. So at the bottom surface of all these three vessels or port, you can say, intensity of pressure is P. Let's consider intensity of pressure is, let's consider here is P1, here is intensity of pressure is P2, here is intensity of pressure is P3. So according to the hydrostatic law, we can calculate the pressure P equal to rho G H, as here we have considered the liquid in all these three are unique. So let's consider water is filled in these three pots. So rho is common, G is common for all. So H is only variable to calculate the pressure. But here in all these three cases, H already we have considered equal. So intensity of pressure is equal on all these three. So here we can say P1 equal to P2 equal to P3. So by this way, after considering this intensity of pressure equal, let's talk about the force. Let's say here the force is F1, here the force is F1, here the force is F2, and here the force is F3. So for calculation of the force or hydrostatic force, F equal to nothing but the P into A, intensity of pressure into area. But here area is already we have taken equal, and intensity of pressure we have proved here because of this H, P1 equal to P2 equal to P3. So P intensity of pressure and area both are equal. So the total pressure force on the bottom surface are unique. Besides different volume, different shape. So this is we can say it is an paradox, say something we can not understand by our regular thinking. So it is something contradict with our regular belief. Say if the amount of liquid are different, then the pressure on the bottom area must be different for the same amount of area. But this is not true, because with the help of hydrostatic law, which is equal to P equal to rho gh, and the definition of pressure, we have proved that the force of this liquid on the bottom surface of the equal area of bottom surface are same. So this is somewhat contradict then with our regular belief. So this is the hydrostatic paradox. Then we will move on the surfaces. Forces on surfaces. Hydrostatic forces on surfaces. So hydrostatic force, when we are considering, when we consider the force on the surfaces in which in contact with the fluid. So its surface may be submerged surface or maybe partially submerged surface. And if we talk about the position of the surface, it may horizontal, it may vertical, it may inclined, or it may curved surface. So we will discuss about the hydrostatic forces on all these all these four type of or four position of the surfaces. Then for these four type of surfaces, we will consider two things: total pressure and center of pressure. So first we will define what is total pressure and what is center of pressure. So the total pressure itself indicates the, as per the name, we can say it is the total summation of the pressure, but it is not like that. It is defined as the force exerted by the static fluid on a surface, either plane or curved, when the fluid comes in contact with the surface. So total pressure is ultimately, technically we can say it is a one type of force, say pressure force. Pressure force applied by the fluid on the surface in which it comes in contact. So this is the pressure force, not the pressure. So for all these forces, all these four type of surfaces, we will consider, we will calculate the total force act and where it acts. So where it acts, for that we will consider the center of pressure. So the point of application of this total pressure or the pressure force on the surface is called as a center of pressure. So we will derive the equation of total pressure, and center of pressure is a position of the center of pressure. And in this cases, always we will consider the center of pressure with respect to the free surface of water, because it is readily available with us, and we can calculate easily height from the free surface of the water. So always we will consider the center of pressure, or the center of pressure is nothing but the location of center of pressure, and for that location we must establish the relation with some reference. So for that reference, we will consider free surface of liquid as a reference for the center of pressure, and total pressure. Total pressure. This is for the calculation of purpose. So that is all for today, guys. And we just recall what we have learned today. We first discussed the molecular definition of pressure, then hydrostatic law, which is equal to P equal to rho gh, where h is the height from the free surface of the liquid, and pressure or intensity of pressure is increased as you go down in the vertical direction, and it will decrease as you go up in the vertical direction. And then we have seen hydrostatic paradox and two definition of total pressure and center of pressure. And in coming lecture, we will see or derive the equation of total pressure and center of pressure for all these four surfaces. So that's all today. Thank you, friends.